Hey everybody, I'm Tom Graham and this is Sean Halley, and we're from Avid. We're really excited to be here today. We're in Studio A at Village Recorders in West Los Angeles. And a few years ago, you probably noticed we did a listening test that compared an SSL console mix with EQ dynamics and bus compressor versus an internal Pro Tools mix, in-the-box mix, with the plugins from Waves that were the Waves SSL EQ, the Waves dynamics for SSL, and the bus compressor. And it was a pretty cool test, right, Sean? I mean, it kind of got people over that idea that you can't mix in the box.
Yep, so there's been a lot of work done the last number of years on plugins that emulate classic consoles, plugins that emulate pieces of those consoles, EQs, compressors, mic preamps, and things. But the last Holy Grail has sort of been the world of analog summing. There are companies that make fantastic products that automatically do that for you. There's sort of hardware boxes you can plug the outputs of your digital audio workstation into and sort of get that sound of analog summing. So the reason we're here in Studio A is to take a look at the classic Neve 8048 that is here. When people talk about mixing on an analog console and they want an analog console to impart character, a lot of times they will come and look at a desk like this, because this series of consoles definitely has a very specific kind of a character that's very pleasing, especially for rock and pop music. So what we wanted to do was come in here, take a mix that was done inside of Pro Tools, that was set up already to be stemmed or mixed out into buses, so it'd be easy to compare it, and print a mix in Pro Tools that was flat, and then come out and print a mix through this console with just the faders up at Unity, basically panned left and right for 16 outputs, and compare the difference between the mix printed through the Neve console and the mix printed through Pro Tools. And also with one especially neat new little feature.
So you've probably heard about it. It's called HEAT, and it stands for Harmonically Enhanced Algorithm Technology.
Nice.
It's a nice way to say It's pretty cool. Basically, Dave Hill worked with Avid engineers and has come up with this technology that sort of attaches to your HD rig internally and adds all the euphonic characteristics of an analog console and other analog gear, tubes and tape machine. And we wanted to see, just curious, if it would stack up to this. So essentially, we did 3 different mixes that we're gonna have you compare and listen and judge with your own ears.
Yeah, so we did one mix that was basically straight done in Pro Tools HD. And I set it up in Pro Tools so that I had individual buses for the drums, for guitars, for the vocals, the background vocals, things like that. And the reason I set it up that way was to make sure that when we came and ran the mix into the Neve, it would be easy to set the faders up at Unity with some tones to make sure that they're all perfect, and then basically run that same mix back through the Neve with no EQ or anything else going on, and record the mix back into Pro Tools. At that point, what you're basically comparing is the character of the Neve to the character of Pro Tools HD, and we also did a mix with heat engaged as well. So you've got the clean Pro Tools mix there for yourself, you have the mix with heat on it, which is my setting that I liked at the time for the mix, and also the setting for the Neve. And basically, we're just going back through Pro Tools. And then we went back after printing the Neve mix and tried to sort of match the Neve character a little bit more closely, which involved a little bit of tweaking of the heat setting. But the main thing to get about sort of the phenomenon of analog summing, there has been this stigma for the past bajillions of years that you can't get the console vibe inside of a digital audio workstation. And I think you'll find from comparing these mixes that while you might find some slight dissimilarities between the way the Neve sort of sounds harmonically and the heat sounds harmonically, I think you'll probably agree that the heat mix is a console vibe mix. It may be a little bit different in a couple different frequency ranges from the Neve in a very, very small amount, but it's a console vibe, and it's pretty cool. It's really exciting to actually have that kind of character available inside your Pro Tools HD rig.
Hi, my name's Scott Smith. I'm an engineer here at the Village Recorder. Spent the last 3 days with the guys from Avid checking out some of the new stuff. Well, essentially what we did is we took Pro Tools outputs from Pro Tools, ran them through the Neve, just like we would do a normal mix here. And we printed back on a 2-track, the standard kind of thing, and we get that a lot. People will come in with a Pro Tools session, and they want to run through the transistors and the iron in this board and get the Neve sound. So we did that, and then I believe we did a straight bounce of Heat and a straight bounce of Pro Tools, and we kind of A-B'd both of them to see not what sounded better necessarily, but the differences between the two. And it was pretty remarkable hearing the Heat stuff compared to the Neve mix, because they both sound fantastic, but I can just see myself in a situation where I do not have full analog console at home, you know, putting Heat on something and just being completely satisfied with how it sums everything together and the overall mold it gives the mix.
I have to say, when we came in here today, we really didn't know quite what was going to happen or how it was going to turn out, and I think we're pretty impressed that it's really, really, really close, and certainly not about the tool so much as about the mixer at that point.
Absolutely, and there are so many different flavors of it that depending on what you want, if you want to, you know, basically crush the out of something, you can certainly do that. But if you want to just add a gentle sort of lift to it without changing much of the initial character, you can do that too. It's a very, very powerful sort of tool to use.
Yeah. So just for a minute, I'd like to talk about the material that you're going to listen to. It's all 96K source files recorded in Pro Tools. There's some Pro Tools virtual instruments in there. And Sean actually is the writer with his band, the Nimble Tailors. And he's recorded it all at his own personal studio in Los Angeles.
Right.
And he sang and performed the parts and other members of the band. And you use Pro Tools HD and you have an icon at home.
Yep. So basically, the studio is based around a bunch of outboard gear, 24 fader Icon D command surface, and a decent sounding sort of tracking room, which is my living room. And my buddy Mike Packer played drums, and basically, you know, the band is sort of a recording project of mine, my XTC, if you will, Andrew Partridge Never to Play Live kind of thing.
Right.
But you know, we're really excited about you know, sort of the ability to take these three different mixes and listen to the variations, because it's kind of an open sounding tune. The main thing to realize about it is we didn't do any mastering to the audio files, so we didn't send all three audio files to some mastering guy at some point, because we felt maybe that might remove some of the dissimilarities that you might be hearing, or the variations you might be hearing between the Neve mix and the Pro Tools mix. And we wanted to make sure that you could hear those if you'd like, as opposed to having them sort of, if they were removed by mastering guy that was trying to make them all even. So these are unmastered tracks that basically not a lot of compression going on at all. It's basically bust out to the console, bust out to Pro Tools, and then you can sort of go through and compare all of the mixes yourself. So there's live piano, live drums, there's no samples for any of the drums and that kind of stuff, so it's a very natural sounding thing. And we figured that would probably be best to exemplify the differences in the sound.
Yeah, and it's been a really, really fun experience. We're grateful to the guys at the Village. This was really a fun couple days here, and check it out. We hope you like it.
Thanks, guys.